So I watched this live, I think, earlier today, but I think I like kind of like a little bit was zoned out when I was watching it, so this will be like a better look or a better like overlook at the trailer. I'll jump forward into the trailer. Here we go. All right. These are all new bosses, I'm pretty sure. Like all new map bosses, but not endgame. Pretty sure they're just map bosses, not endgame bosses. But these look so nice though. Like when I saw it the first time, I just kept thinking like how much it looks like Path of Exile 2. It's looking real good. Yeah, 11 new maps. That's actually a lot. The thing I'm wondering about now is, will they replace 11 maps like on the Atlas, or will they straight up add 11 more maps? Because if they add up 11 more maps, it's like that's a lot of maps already that you have to do, and 11 more. So from what I can tell, it's gonna be like a huge like I guess bossing league, at least for the endgame Atlas. Wait, so this boss upgrade isn't actually part of the 3.13 league. This is actually part of like the actual like gonna be part of the end game. So that's gonna be pretty interesting then. Or just mean like your build having has to be able to do has to be really really strong at fighting bosses and really tanky. So this envoy, I'm guessing, is something to do with. So it's not. This is not to do with the actual challenge league. This is part of the end game. So you don't counter this mechanic until like end of Act 6. Does she duplicate the boss then? I'm guessing. Or make it harder. Kind of like the Shaper. Shaper like would just come into the map and like buff the boss. So my thoughts on this is you need a really strong bossing character. I already have some idea of what I want to do for a league start. It's going to be really interesting to see if I can do it. Oh, yes, the Atlas. So this is actual permanent endgame content. Oh, Incursion such like right now, Incursion's not in a good spot, I think, unless you're running Delirium. It's just not a fun mechanic to do. Harvest going core is going to be pretty interesting, because I think, as my friend said, feature creep is going to be a pretty big thing. Like, there's going to be so many mechanics in a single map that it might feel overwhelming when you do a single map. So I'm not sure how like they're going to put all of this content into a league with so much content already, and then they're going to add more endgame content as well. Like, if you're a new player starting Path of Exile in 2021, there's just so many things you have to learn. Like, it's actually crazy. The whole watching system for Path of Exile right now for endgame mapping is super tedious, in my opinion. You have to farm 32 stones per challenge league, every single league. It's just like so not fun to do. But you have to do it if you want to get to the end game, like proper end game. Like I can like guess right now. I would say 95% of the player base like won't even care about these watchstones because they won't get to this point. It's just like this is for like it's not for newer players or like people starting out. This type of system is for like I guess super hardcore players that want to like min-max their Atlas. But I don't see like regular players ever like filling out 32 of these stones. I have a bad feeling like this type of mechanic is going just to like make the rich richer and the poor poorer, where the high end players are gonna fully optimize their like end game farming, while like just casual players are gonna fall further behind because they don't understand how to set up their atlas correctly. That's really strong. Just this new orb. But it's 50-50 gamble. That's a really interesting gamble. There's like a 50-50 chance you just completely destroy your item, or 50-50 chance that you make your item way stronger. Wait, so for that orb, if you can use it on an influenced base, I'm gonna read the orb again because removes one influence modifier from an item with at least two influence modifiers and upgrades another influence modifier. Upgrading a modifier of the highest tier transforms the modifier into an elevated modifier. Alright, so what I understand from this is... Okay, so you can do it on double influenced items as well, if you wanted to, but that wouldn't make sense, because... Oh, maybe. Like, there'll be kind of niche crafting purpose for this to remove undesirable mods of, like, maybe double influenced items, but I think the greater possibility is this will help you create better min-maxed double influence items. So what like for example, explode on current chests. If you can upgrade that explode percentage to like a higher amount, so that's like 3%, maybe upgrade it to 5% of their life. You would keep using this orb until you get the upgraded one isolated on one base, and then you'd probably use the Maven's orb on another base, maybe like crit chance or something, and make that higher than whatever it's current like 1.5. You make it maybe 2% or something, and then you'd awaken all of those together, and then you'd have, I don't know if like they pull those mods across, like the super elevator modifiers across. But if that's true, then endgame items are going to be even stronger than before. And these maps look so good compared to the current maps we have already. Like they look like kind of like they belong in like a new game. That looks so, like the shadows look so nice. Like it's probably the best looking like map I've seen. Oh, this is the big thing here, the Challenge League. This is a pretty good mechanic. Like this is kind of like a loot, like a spawning extra monsters. There's nothing else you have to really interact with. You just straight up kill stuff. That's it.
As you complete subsequent rituals in the same area, more potential rewards will be revealed, which can be very expensive. If you can't afford to purchase a reward outright,
Defer.
you can spend a portion of its cost to defer it until later. This means that it will show up in a later area at a reduced price. Items can be deferred multiple times until you can eventually afford them, and for some of the most valuable rewards in this league, this may be the easiest way to obtain them.
4 exalted orbs like that.
You can also spend some tribute to re-roll the contents of the reward screen one time per instance if you'd like a new set of reward items to choose from. Among the many other rewards you can choose from in Ritual are a special new set of ritual base types.
Oh right, the new base types. These are pretty cool. These are actually pretty interesting because if like I think they say in the trailer, if you're able to get rid of the downside of the item, then the upside is actually really strong. So Exalted attacks deal 40% increased damage. War Cries cost of plus 2 seconds to cooldown. Right. Interesting. Hang on 1 second. Okay, 30% reduced maximum mana, 27% chance to pay a skill's mana cost. When you pay a skill to gain that much mana. 30% reduced to maximum mana. Just pay a skill to gain that much mana. These gloves are interesting, but I don't think they'll be super game changing. I don't know if like the payoff is worth the sacrifice you're doing. Because the problem is most classes don't need something that actually like most classes that like attack really quickly or that cost really fast, they have other ways to like sustain the mana. Like they might use like EB, or they have like a huge amount of leech or on like on hit or something. The only class I would see like the only classes that would dump all their mana and would benefit the most from this would be something like one of those archmages that are stacking mana. So I guess for those archmages where you go for the really big hits by using most of your mana, this could be good. But you're sacrificing a third of your mana pool, so that's like a third of your damage gone just to try use these gloves. So I'm not sure if that's worth like the upside of being able. There's a chance you cast it for free. So not entirely sure if this is like entirely worth it. I'm sure they're like way smarter people than me. Like they can figure out how to make a build around this, but from what I know, it doesn't seem really strong. So 21% increased effect of Fortify. That's actually really big. That's actually that's a huge amount of increased effect. And what? So you're crushed. So I guess that removes your physical mitigation, but Fortify already gives you a certain amount of physical mitigation as well. I need to know what crush does. Hang on. Crush PoE. Alright. Crush. You have lower physical damage reduction. The lowest physical damage reduction by 15%. Okay, 15% isn't that much. Like if you were playing a champion class, champions stack so much armor already that you hit physical reduction cap pretty easily. I don't know if that 15% takes it off your cap, so you can no longer cap out at like 90% physical damage reduction, or if it's like a flat minus 15. So you can still get to 90%, but it's just harder. If it's the first case where it's 50% off your maximum, then it's the helmet's like okay, it's not that like not crazy. But if it's the other case where it's just if minus 15% and you can still get to your cap, then this helmet's really, really strong. Because 21% increased effect of fortify is ridiculously strong. Because on the tree, you might only get like 30%. So you're getting like 20% on a single item is ridiculously strong. The other one, Superior Storm Rider Boots. 1 to 5 Adelaide per 200 accuracy rating, 25% less accuracy rating. Okay. This could be interesting if like so I had an idea before when I was watching this trailer the first time that what you could do is like just probably the lowest like probably the easiest way of doing it is you would run whatchamacallit, what is I think the keystone hits cannot be evaded. The like I think whatever keystone that gives you hits cannot be evaded, and then it doesn't matter what your accuracy rating is. So I guess you could just stack accuracy rating like a crazy amount, and then you get a huge amount of lightning damage. But I'm not sure if that's worth it because you might just be able to get enough accuracy rating to like overcome the penalty of 25% less accuracy rating. Because I guess if you're running lightning damage, I guess you want to crit. So having that keystone means you can't crit, but you won't miss either. So that's just like one idea I had where you could just
However, its upside is
run that
the
keystone
increased
and
effect of
stack
fortifying
accuracy.
against
Doesn't seem like a
multiple
smart idea
increases the
though.
damage you take from hits. There are many situations where this is a huge win, such as if you already have no armor or endurance charges.
Oh, Resolute Technique, that's what it's called.
Reduce your accuracy
Resolute
rating
Technique.
will provide a huge added lightning damage boost to your attacks based on your accuracy rating. If you have other sources of accuracy to rely on, then this is potentially a huge
Wait, attack, yeah, so it's attack. It's not just flat lightning damage. If you could, it would be ridiculously strong for spells.
In the end game, you can obtain ritual vessels, which allow you to itemize the monsters from a ritual. You can place up to 4 vessels in the map device alongside a map to add the monsters stored in those vessels to the rituals present in the map. This increases both the difficulty and rewards of the rituals, as well as generating even more tribute to spend on those rewards. For example, because there's a chance of encountering a Headhunter or Mirror of Calandra as rewards, using ritual vessels increases the chances you'll be offered those items and allows you to afford them. In addition,
Wait, that means there's a chance that you might get a really, really good item, but there's not enough tribute in the map for you to afford that item. And you can't defer that. From my understanding, you can't defer items across maps. If you can, that's pretty broken because then you could just defer a mirror forever. So I'm guessing you're going to defer an item within the map. So that'd be like the biggest tease if you like get like a mirror or something, and then you don't have enough tribute to afford it. That's gonna be like the that's even worse than Parandas because at least you can buy Parandas coins. This you can't do anything. Yeah, no one else can buy it. Like nobody can get that item. It's there, but you can't get it if you don't have enough tribute. So that'll be kind of a bit interesting to see on like when people start posting like headhunters or mirrors that they can't afford.
you can use these vessels to substantially increase monster density in maxed out maps that have mechanics like Beyond or Delirium present. Using vessels, you have control over
If you can stack
the hardest ritual encounters.
harvest, I mean you start stack not harvest. What is this called? Ritual. If you can stack these rituals with delirium, like fully delirium orb maps, that's pretty crazy. I would assume that would give you the maximum amount of like tribute possible.
Ascendancy Classes. Path of Exile has 19 Ascendancy Classes, which let you specialize your character further than the base character classes allow. To unlock your Ascendancy class, you must find the Altar of Ascendancy at the end of the Lord's Labyrinth. In this expansion, we've rebalanced every one of these 19 classes and have significantly reworked 3 of them: the Elementalist, the Inquisitor, and the Deadeye.
I'm really interested to see the Elementalist I guess like the changes because they got rid of all the herald stacking.
Functions more effectively. Let's check some of them out. The Elementalist has always been a good general Ascendancy class for many elemental builds.
Divine Ire.
Really in-depth build options. Now you can pick which elemental ailments to use for greater build customization, as well as providing more consistent power against tougher enemies. The Elementalists can also protect themselves from a large amount of elemental damage.
Choose level 20 Primal Aegis when allocated. Primal Aegis can take 100 damage per allocated notable passive skill. other Aegis skills are disabled. Cannot take reflected elemental damage. Would that be worth taking like 2 sanity points to get towards the 100 damage for allocated notable passive skill? If you were on like an average tree, you might be like have between 20, 25 notables, maybe 30 on the higher end. How many notables would you have? I would say like 30 maybe, so that's like 3,000 damage mitigation. And other Aegis skills are disabled. So I'm guessing like what, Steel Skin and does Immortal Core count? That's a war cry, right? So that wouldn't be affected. But like Steel Skin and like any other shield skill, I'm guessing just won't work. And can I take I don't know. Like just from seeing this doesn't seem worth it for the 2 points to take as a defensive layer, because like if you wanted defenses, you could just run like golems and stack them, because they work so much better than just something like this.
Of Elements provides a significant defensive shield against elemental damage, which can be further improved by allocating more skills on your passive tree.
It doesn't make sense though, like unless it's really different, because you can just run Steel Guard at like level 20 or something, and it'll be like the same thing, and like you don't need to run notables. Oh, that's really big. This is really good quality of life. One of the big things about being a golem mentalist is every single time you go into a fight, your golems get popped. So summoning itself after 4 seconds is really, really handy. You don't have to like piano your keyboard to get the stuff back up.
You'll now need to spec into Elemental as well as Leader of the Primordial. Previously, the Shaper of Desolation skill forced you to improve both shocking and chilling, even if you didn't use both. We've now moved these benefits into their own branches, culminating in the Shaper of Flames, Winter, and Storm skill.
What does this do? Your hits always ignite. All damage with hits can ignite. 25% more damage with ignites you inflict with hits for which the highest damage type is fire. Okay. All damage with hits can chill. Chills from your hits always reduce active spell abilities 15%. 50% more effective cold ailments you inflict with hits for which the highest damage type is cold. Your chills can reduce action speed up to a maximum of 40%. Okay. Shaper of Storms. Your hits always shock. All damage. That's actually really. This one's really strong. Shaper of Storms. So you always shock on hits. That's actually ridiculously strong. All damage with hits can shock. Shocks from your hits always increase damage taken by at least 15%. That's actually 15% more damage no matter what. 25% more effective lightning elements you inflict. Yeah, this seems ridiculously strong compared to the other two.
Allowing you to pick which elements you improve. You can use and enhance Ignite, Chill, and Shock on any build. Mastermind of Discord no longer focuses on heralds and allows you to strip all elemental resistances from your enemies effectively.
Exposure you inflict applies an extra negative 25% to affected resistances. Regenerate 1% mana per second if you inflict. Oh, this is good. This second thing is nice quality of life. You just get your mana regen from that.
Pendulum of Destruction has been reworked as Heart of Destruction, providing more elemental damage or area of effect when you need them most.
Oh, that's a really nice change. So before, how it would work, it would change between bigger AoE or more damage. Now it's always bigger AoE until you hit a boss, which then transfers it into doing more damage. So that's actually pretty good.
The Inquisitor has derived much of its power from its Inevitable Judgment skill, but the rest of the tree was fairly straightforward and lacked anything truly unique. After our changes in this expansion...
Alright, I don't really care about Inquisitor. This is
both of these attributes, which is a huge benefit.
Alright, skip.
Virtue with a new instrument to get items, and the
this one. The Deadeye is something I'm also pretty interested in.
Uniqueness back to this Ascendancy with a variety of new mechanics that enable new ways to build and play ranges. Let's have a look at the new Deadeye Ascendancy skills.
This tree looks so confusing now though. So many paths.
Far away from you, which is up from 30% before, but now also deals 20% less damage to enemies that are close. It no longer has a
Far shot would be decent for like maybe rain of arrows if you can shoot it that far.
This additional damage rewards Deadeyes who can keep their distance from their targets. Previously, Ricochet caused your projectiles to chain an additional time and granted 10% more damage for each remaining chain. The new Ricochet allows your projectiles to both chain an additional...
I don't understand why they would add this. You don't need this for the thing. This thing doesn't help that much. Chaining of walls.
Rather than one additional projectile and some other minor bonuses. This skill is accessible behind 3 of the Deadeye's paths, making it an option for many different Deadeye builds. Occupying Force is a new skill that benefits Mirage Archers by granting you additional ones and allowing
This seems
them
like
to
a big
separate
one.
from you.
Well, I'm gonna read that one again. Alright. Mirage Archers are not attached to you. +2 to maximum number of summoned Mirage Archers. Cannot summon Mirage Archers while near you Mirage Archers. Alright, so I'm guessing this is just like when you shoot something, instead of it following shooting with you, it would mean they get dropped on the ground and they keep shooting from that location, and then you can go run off somewhere else, and you can have 3 total. Would that be good though? In bossing wise, if the arena was big enough, you could run around and set up like maybe 2 or 3, and that would like essentially like double or triple your damage. But the quality of life is, I guess, you kind of lose it. I don't know. This will be kind of interesting to see how this works.
Archers by granting you additional ones and allowing them to be separate from you. Gathering Winds now always grants Tailwind to permanently boost your speed, and the increase
Maximum 10 Gale Force. Tailwind increases action speed by 8%. Gain 1 Gale Force when you use a skill. So you get 150% increased effect of Tailwind. So you always have Tailwind now. Okay, so 1.5 times 8. So that'd be like 20% increased action speed. Yeah, that's pretty strong. 20% increased action speed.
by the Gale Force buff. Windward enhances the Gathering Winds passive by making Gale Force a lot more effective, with the drawback of losing all Gale Force if you're hit. If you can stay out of the
30% less damage with 10 stacks.
Even more potent. The Rupture skill previously helped critical.
That doesn't seem necessary though. It doesn't like fit with the build.
And it's been simplified while being made more powerful. Critical strikes that inflict bleeding now also inflict Rupture, which causes bleeding enemies to lose more life.
Thing is, I see very few builds that run like a bleeding based build on a Deadeye. People run bleed builds on like Gladiator or like any other class. It just doesn't, it seems like a waste to run a bleed build on a Deadeye.
As you have seen, the Elementalist, Inquisitor, and Deadeye have undergone some major changes in this expansion. We have also improved the other 16 Ascendancy classes, and we'll show you some.
So these are minor ones.
To demonstrate what you can expect.
Alright, let me just give all the new skill gems, because we don't have all the information yet on all the new Ascendancy points. We know some of them. Just from what I think, in general, for the Deadeye, if I were to run a Deadeye now, I would run Tailwind for sure, always. This extra thing seems kind of like a waste. I wouldn't run Rupture either, unless like I wouldn't build a bleed-based character on a Deadeye, so I'd run these two points, and then if this is good, maybe I'd run the Mirage Archer. This seems kind of like a jank mechanic to play around though, where you can't have it follow you. So if I were to run like a Deadeye now for like pure like generic like Deadeye class, I'd run Tailwind, then I'd grab Ricochet, Endless Ammunitions, and then finally grab Fast Shots. So like it'll be like this and this. I would just leave these notes alone for now. Like I'm not sure how good they are, but just seeing like one I seem to survive, these 2 notes don't seem like necessary, because 30% less damage when you get hit for 2 Ascendancy notes, like I guess it's okay, but it just seems like a huge waste compared to like the potential like upside you could get, especially if you're playing like softcore. You can get like way more like damage or clear speed with other Ascendancy notes, so I feel like these might be wasted. This seems it's hard to scale, I think, bleed compared to like let's say a Gladiator or something. There's like so many better ways you could like run bleed than a Deadeye. It is a pretty strong like damage like buff though, but is it worth picking this over like let's say? I guess you could justify this over running Fast Shot if you don't want to run Fast Shot. I'm not sure. Like I would definitely grab Endless Ammunitions and the Ricochet and Tailwind. Like I feel like these 3 are no brainers. And then the last one is like up to you for you to pick.
Merciful form still causes you to have endurance charges equal to the number of frenzy charges you have, but now grants an additional frenzy charge instead of increasing endurance and frenzy charge duration.
Oh yeah, before that other thing was useless. This is actually really, really big. The fact that they're adding an extra frenzy charge just tells you like how underpowered this Ascendancy node was. Like nobody would take this. Like why on earth would you ever take this node compared to all the other nodes you could grab?
Ascendancy classes. While the biggest changes to the 3 we're heavily revamping, the Elementalist, Inquisitor, and Deadeye, all of Exile. are the Hydrosphere skill gem and the Trinity support gem. First, let's have a look at Hydrosphere. The skill summons a huge sphere of water that you can move around to crush enemies. While it is active, you can apply cold or lightning ailments to it. It will then pulse for a duration, afflicting nearby enemies with damage matching that ailment. This player is applying freeze to the Hydrosphere with freezing pulse, and that causes it to repeatedly damage surrounding enemies with cold damage. Here's the gem hover.
Base duration is 8 seconds. Base secondary duration is 4 seconds. Create a sphere of water or move an existing sphere and reset its duration. The sphere continuously applies a drench debuff with a short duration enemies in its area those it moves through. You can hit the sphere with other skills to inflict cold or lightning elements other than chill. Oh, you can't put fire on it. The sphere pulses when created at regular intervals while affected by an ailment, and after moving, damaging or drenched enemies in a large area. Okay. So this is only for lightning and cold. You actually can't do fire on this. Pulses every 0.4 seconds while frozen, shocked, brittle, or sapped. 100% of damage is converted to cold. Interesting. If you can make it pulse faster than 0.4 every second, I doubt you could. Like maybe with less duration. Like I think blocking the Hang on, let me move this here. Hang on, it might be blocking the skill text here. Oh, it doesn't matter because they'll jump around anyway. Okay, just based off what initial thoughts of this seems like kind of like another skill, like the black hole skill. You could probably run it in certain classes. I'm not sure if you can make a build around this. I'm sure you could. I'm sure this would be really strong as like a supplemental spell. Like you could drop it and then it just boosts your single target maybe, or maybe you're like just your AoE. If you can make the pulses down, so right now it pulses every 0.4 seconds. If you could bring that pulse down to like, I mean like at all, like if you could bring that pulse down, it could be ridiculously strong. Like if you ran like maybe less duration on it, maybe it makes it shorter. If that's the case, this would be like an insanely strong skill. Like if you make it pulse like every 0.1 second or something. But I think that won't be the case because that would be way too strong. Like if you get to like I don't know, it'd be really creative though if you could, because if you could reduce the time it takes, like if it pulses every 0.4 and you stack less duration, right? You can make a sphere that pulses like 20 times or something in a second and it only lasts like a second, but it makes 20 instances of damage in one go. Like that would be ridiculously strong for a build. But I think like that's not how the thing will scale. I think this is more of just like a utility skill for most like spell based builds.
For Hydrosphere. The skill gem can be acquired from level 34 and can be supported with spell, area of effect, duration, cold, orb, lightning, and physical support gems. It pulses every 0.4 seconds while an ailment is applied to it.
Like that's already pulsing so fast.
To cold or lightning damage based on what ailments are on it.
Imagine if you can make it shorter, like you make it pulse like 10 times faster than that.
Builds that deal multiple types of elemental damage. While Trinity supports your skill, any hits that deal damage with a specific element will build resonance with the other two elements.
Alright, this is interesting. Trinity. Oh, you guys can't really see this. Let's see if I can move this down a bit then. It's a little bit too big. Move it like this. There we go. Alright. So looking at Trinity support. Support skills that hit enemies, causing them to gain bonuses while you have resonance of all three elements, and to grant resonance of elements other than the highest one in a hit. Okay. Cannot support triggered skills, instant skill, orb skills, brands, skills which reserve mana, or skills used by totems, traps, or mines. Cannot modify the skills of minions. Hits with supported skills, which their highest damage types elemental, cause you to gain 25 resonance of other elements per second for 2 seconds. Okay. Lose 5 resonance per second of each element you are not gaining. Okay. Supported skills deal 3% more damage per 5 of lowest resonance. My god, this is a lot of text. Supported skills. Okay, so you are at least 25 resonance. How much resonance can you have though? So my understanding is if you use a fire skill, you get resonance with lightning and cold. And you're also losing 5 fire resonance. Okay, let's assume you're using pure fire and you're using Trinity support. You'd be gaining 25 resonance for the other 2 elements non-stop. But then you'd be losing resonance of fire. Okay, so this pretty much means you have to run at least 2 different. No, you have to run 3, I think, because what this line means is you deal 3% more elemental damage per 5 of lowest resonance. Okay, yeah, so you have to use you have to interchangeably use at least 2 elements. You couldn't run just 1 element, obviously, but you could run it with 2. So you could maybe run like you could be, yeah, pretty much any 2 skills like lightning and cold or something, and then you build resonance between those 2. And then you get the bonus for penetration and also more elemental damage per 5. So if it's 3% per 5 of lowest resonance, I need to know how much resonance you can build. Alright, this doesn't tell me anything. This is literally an icon. It doesn't tell me how much resonance is building.
To build resonance across all 3 elements. To power up the Trinity support gem quickly and uniformly, the player alternates between pairs of elemental damage types. Combined with the elemental weakness curse, the maximum resonance trinity absolutely decimates enemies.
Alright, so this guy's running 2 spells. He's running Magma Orb and Ball Lightning, I think. Alright, so that would just mean so my idea was you could run, because I'm a big fan of Ellie Hit ever since they overhauled it. The combat focuses, you could probably run Elemental Hit again with maybe 1 combat focus, and you alternate between maybe cold and lightning. And instead of going the conversion route, you'd go like this, the Trinity route seems pretty strong. Or even go all 3, you don't need any combat focuses.
Including skills such as Scorching Ray, Seismic Trap, Firestorm, Venom Gyre, Static Strike, Kinetic Bolt, Crackling Lance, Lightning.
Crackling Lance, the biggest meme skill. Looked so cool last league.
Next week so that you can plan your perfect build. These are some unique worm skills.
Legacy of Fury, you lose 12% to resistances, no life on these boots. No ES either, but it is 30% increased movement speed. You drop Scorch Ground while moving, lasting 4 seconds, 31% increased effect of Scorch. Okay. 40% chance when you kill a scorched enemy to burn each surrounding enemies for 4 seconds. Dealing 8% of the killed enemy's life as fire damage per second. Could you make this chain? That is the big question. I don't know if you could ignite, if you have a really, really fast ignite duration, then maybe this could be good for chaining stuff. I don't want to see the purpose of these boots compared to maybe Aberaths or something.
Boots called Legacy of Fury. They place scorched ground as you travel, which applies the scorch element to enemy stats.
Duration reduced, chance to ignite. Enemies ignited by you take chaos damage instead of fire damage from ignite. Wither does not expire on enemies ignited by you. Huh. So you'd scale chaos damage instead of fire then. You wouldn't care about fire. I'm not sure how that would scale then. Instead of doing the fire damage, it becomes chaos instead. So you would want to scale fire damage then? Or both? That's the thing. That's a little confusing. What you would be scaling.
The effect is that your ignites now deal chaos damage, along with a cool new chaos ignited effect on monsters. Also, if you players to have to grow and manage their own gardens every league.
Thank God for that. Oh my God! If I had to grow a garden again, oh my God.
In Echoes of the Atlas, as you play through maps, rather than finding a seed cache, you'll now encounter a portal to the Sacred Grove. But it's not your own Sacred Grove, it's an established one that is a full complement of plants ready to harvest, fight.
This is so good. This is how you should implement league mechanics. This is actually such a good way of implementing it.
Details of the fight and the corresponding crafting options, fighting and crafting, and drops the part that got old.
That's really good. You can save your crafts in the future like that.
We're also integrating the Heist League.
Oh, Heist. I just hope they fix the AI for this.
In Heist, players travel to the Rogue Harbor to hire a crew of thieves to help them plan and execute risky high content. You can trade away your contracts.
Like I said, there is so much feature creep now in this game. There's gonna be so many things. And the last thing on supporter packs, I think, yeah.
In a few days, where we will detail other changes that didn't make it into this presentation. Soon we'll move on to the Q&A and to help points to spend in the store. Social
It's pretty cool.
forum titles and badges.
Alright. Okay, so that's about it, I think. Like, that's the whole entire patch. Just from initial thoughts for the thing, let me just do this. There we go. Just initial thoughts from what so far what I've seen is the new end game seems pretty interesting. Although I'm not sure how many players are actually gonna get there. And then the other thing is they're adding what? So they're making Heist Core, they're bringing back Harvest, and they're adding another league into it. So that's an additional 3 leagues of content on top of the end game content that we're getting. I really think like it's gonna be fun. Don't get me wrong, but there's gonna be too much content. Is that even possible? I think that's the thing. There's gonna be too much stuff for players to do now. It's like you're spreading butter too thinly over toast. It's already been spread so thin, and now you got like a whole new piece of bread to spread it across. It's just like there's too much. There's too much stuff in the game now. I'm not sure like by adding more stuff, whether it's gonna like you're gonna dilute everything else down even more. So I guess we'll find out like how this league goes. Just from what I can tell though, like it's gonna be a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. The ritual league does seem like a really nice concept, and like really it's like not too convoluted. You just go fight stuff, you get loot. It's really simple. New endgame content, that's gonna be interesting. The only issue I see with that though is since it's super focused towards fighting bosses, and you need to fight bosses to progress to like ultra late game, it pretty much favors builds that are built for killing bosses, or like builds that have a huge amount of defensive mechanics. If you're fighting like 10 bosses at the same time, you're gonna have really good defense mechanics. And then you also need really strong offense as well, just to kill those bosses. So like we'll see how the meta changes based off that. But the Ascendancy rework seemed pretty interesting as well. So I'll be looking forward to that. And the idea I had before is with that ring that makes you do chaos damage instead of fire damage with your ignites, you could probably like run I don't know, like just like you run a Salem, I think. A Salem with a like a bow skill. Maybe like Scorching Arrow, like maybe Burning Arrow, like or even like another hit, the fire edition. And then you stack up your fire damage with a Salem, and then you shoot it across with like 5 times multiplier on your ignite. You hit a mob, and that's converted to chaos damage. But that'll be a huge like chaos damage burn. So that could be really strong. So that's probably just one idea I have already. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for watching the well, okay, thanks for like watching my reaction for the trailer. I will have hopefully more content coming out when the league starts. I've taken a break since Heist League. I played a bit of Heist League. It just wasn't fun. I didn't really want to make content for it. But hopefully I can make content for this new league. So yeah, be sure to drop a follow if you're interested in seeing content. I also do stream on twitch.tv/JTX if you do want to tune in. And yeah, see you guys next time.